Hello.
Nice to see you. um, just quick chat. Wanted to ask you a few questions, and let's start. First of all, I hear that you started your communication career from doing TV channel. How did it happen?
Yeah, well, the university I went to was University of New South Wales, and their students' union had a TV station that broadcast to students on the campus. There was a student population of about 25,000, so we had various outlets. So all the, for example, all the food outlets, the cafes and that had televisions in there, and also the colleges, people that lived on campus, all received our TV station. So we actually ran for election to run the television station and managed to do that for two and a half years.
All right. What was your first job after you finished your education?
I started actually illegally teaching whilst I was still doing my degree. I started teaching video production at UNSW, and moved from there into, at UNSW we had this faculty called General Studies, which was basically kind of like open subjects for everyone had to do general studies. So scientists, people doing science would have to do a bit of general studies, and one of the courses in general studies was mass media. And I started teaching on that, teaching video production, and then I moved over into the theory side from getting interested in teaching, the actual sort of on the ground, how to make videos and how to broadcast things. And I started to develop an interest in, the sort of impact these would have, and how to structure the things to get a certain message across and a certain idea across.
Using your experience, can you define term in communications? What is it for you?
I suppose in its rawest form, it's getting the ideas of one person's head into another person's head.
All right.
And all the different means you use to try and do that as effectively as possible. It's in effect, I suppose, it's a way of trying to get people's thoughts and ideas in sync with each other.
Knowing that you're quite experienced in social media as well, how do you think social media is influencing the communications?
Well, social media is a lot more participatory, so it's lost that theoretical aspect of seeing how information is manipulated and packaged for particular ends has now become a lot more complicated. It still happens, but it's a lot more complex with this idea of social media and digital media as a whole, where people, the audience, is the producer as well as the audience, if that makes sense. That the distinction between the sort of the classical distinction of the sender and receiver of a message has now become the same thing. You can be a receiver and a sender almost at the same time. We can repackage information and send it out to other people. We can send our own information out to people. We can receive information. And social media just makes it so much more complex because every single person in the audience is also the producer in that audience.
How do you see the communication develop in future years? Let's say around 10 years, how is it going to be?
Ooh. It's impossible to say. There is no way 10 years ago I could have told you that social media would be so dominant. 10 years ago, social media was a little bit of a fad, a little bit interesting, but it wasn't in the form that it takes now. And definitely 10 years ago, I could never have told you that, for example, we'd be using cloud-based computing to collaborate on producing things together online, or that that our social media would be shifting to a more visual focus, such as things like Instagram and Tumblr. So to say in 10 years where's it's going to go, who knows?
Yeah. Was there any moment that changed your perspective of looking and thinking about communications?
Actually, weirdly, yes, there was one. When I first started working in a television station, a friend of mine and I went to the cinema to see a movie, a French movie. Sympathy for the Devil. which was ostensibly about a Rolling Stones song, but also had a lot of other sort of like, it was a very unusual film. It was very hard to describe. And that actually influenced me quite a lot in that seeing different potential for communication production that wasn't necessarily, you know, straight down the line conventional, but a very, you know, that you could experiment more. And I think that was the most important sort of moment for me as regards communication, this acknowledgement that experimentation was very important as well as convention.
Basically sucked everything I've got in my